Hi, I'm Kayla.
I'm Alyssa.
And this is the Christie Club.
And today we're discussing the short story, The Yellow Iris.
First published in The Strand, July 1937, which I guess is also slightly earlier in Agatha Christie's career. Okay, so, short story. Gets a call, and someone saying, it's life or death, you must come to this, I think it's a restaurant, this place at once, the table with yellow irises. And he goes, so he goes to this restaurant. He gets there, sees a party of 5 people. You have Tony.
Yeah, Tony's girlfriend. They're having some romantic troubles. Pauline is her name.
Pauline and Pauline's brother-in-law, her sister's husband.
But her sister is unfortunately dead. So now he's a widower, the Mr. Barton.
And then we also have 2 other people, Carter something, he works at the UN, secret business, and another lady.
Senora Lola Valdez, I think? Yes. So just a brief general plot. They meet, they chat, they dance a little bit, and then the man who set up the whole party, Mr. Barton Russell, announces that he had certain really particular intentions because this was the day that his wife died 4 years ago. And so he wanted to discover who murdered her because she died in a very particular way. She fell over the table with from cyanide poisoning at a house party where everyone was invited. And then at the current party, there's a song that plays, and it's the same song that had played 4 years ago. And everyone is absolutely entranced by the singer. And then when the lights come up, the man returns, and then all of a sudden, Pauline falls over the table and supposedly dies.
Oh my!
But we later find out that Poirot had arranged her to fake her death so that he could kind of play to the murderer's plan. Because he discovers that Mr. Barton Russell had tried to murder Pauline and frame
his sister.
Yes, his
sister-in-law.
Yes, his I guess his ward and his and frame Mr. Carter. And
why did he kill her?
Well, something to do. Poirot suspects that it has something to do with money. He also suspects that perhaps Mr. Russell had killed his wife, or he had taken inspiration from her suicide to murder Pauline so that he wouldn't have to give her any money upon her turning 21.
21. Or getting married.
I really like how it began. It was like it started in a very cozy environment, and where Poirot was like kind of admiring the perfect symmetry of the electric heater, and then all of a sudden he gets this mysterious, dramatic call, literally a call for help, and that throws him into action, and he heads over to the restaurant, and he has to ask about yellow irises because that was mentioned. So.
Yes. I really like this story. It was very melodramatic, okay? There was so many twists and turns. Like, it was the exact, short story where you just go, oh no, oh my, the entire time.
Yeah.
So I was very into it.
Me too. I love that it had, a good amount, the right amount of characters, and they were all interacting together. It wasn't so much interrogation, and as you were saying, Poirot kind of goes in from a more friendly, kind of playful angle. So he doesn't ask, did you straight up? Did you call me with talking about flowers?
Yes.
He pretends to be a psychic, or I guess they use comparison to Sherlock Holmes to get him to start asking or making guesses, right, and asking questions. To try to deduce who had placed the call to him. And then later he kind of almost flirts with the other lady to ask her about her favorite flowers and things.
Yeah.
And I was...
Because what's curious about the flowers is that both ladies did make a call, so they could have called him. But neither one's favorite flower is iris, and both of them called before they sat down at the table, so how could they have known about the flowers?
Yes. And so, for anyone who has not read the short story and is listening, every single table in the restaurant has tulips, but the one reserved for this party has yellow irises, and the man, Mr. Russell, had arranged this in memory of his dead wife, Iris. And yeah.
What's the name of the story?
The flower.
You know what I learned from our last story? I learned to pay attention to the name of the story.
Yes.
You know? You can bet that's a clue.
Yeah, it's very important. Or like the Baghdad Chest. Where do you find the dead man? In the chest.
Yeah, it's gotta be something about the chest.
Where was he stabbed? In the chest. I was surprised, honestly, to see a Latin American character in here.
You're gonna touch on this, yeah.
I wasn't expecting it. I was like, yay, it's cool. Because usually it's just kind of European. Okay, but then I noticed that all of her lines of dialogue kind of get this phonetic spelling. So it's like it is spelled EET, EES, eat-ease. And I'm like, how is that necessary when all her other foreign characters, whether they be Russian or Italian or French or Poirot...
the Russian one I thought it was written that similar way.
Which one?
The Russian one in the story we read last time. I thought it was written in a similar way, wasn't it?
No. It just said it mentioned that he could tell that she wasn't completely English. But it didn't write it out in the same spelling, in the dialect spelling or whatever. So I was thinking, why do they need this? Why is this necessary?
It was excessive.
None of the Europeans get this. I mean, not that I've seen so far in her writing. And it kind of gave me the impression that, like, the character is mispronouncing words. And I'm like, that's not cool, because all of her other characters simply speak in their own natural voices, their own natural accents. But here it literally looks like she is mispronouncing or misspelling the words. And I was like, maybe that's some, like, unconscious prejudice thing going on there. By the way, I'm just saying, Miss Agatha, I know, like, you're more into the French language, but come on, like, at least get the señorita right. It's not señora unless she's married, So, really, you should use señorita. I love how she uses, like English words for all. I mean, the author. I love how she uses like very English words for her characters, like temperament. Like I'm thinking of like all the people that I've known who like have no English as a second language, and like they would never use like that word. I mean, sure, this is like written like way back when, but I was like, temperament, is that really a word she would use? Or like certain phrases that even like Americans use in her books. And I'm thinking, like, sounds very British to me. Maybe that's just a part of what I, automatically think of British as, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe not so much in this book, but whenever there's, like, a stereotypical American person, I always find it really funny.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, also at the time that I feel like it's more of a... I don't know, they're always, like, very loud and kind of annoying at times, and I'm like, yeah, that's us.
or monotonous, or very just like straight.
Oh yeah, it said, I have it here, monotonous American intonation, and I was like, monotonous?
I was like, some Americans, I guess. And I wonder what accent she thinks of when she thinks American, because lots of people here in her character, or at least this character, all of the like rich millionaires like party in like New York, and they probably wouldn't have the typical New York accent that we think of because they're like more upper class and whatever. But I wonder if she ever confuses accents, like Southern American, Southern accent versus.
I did read a book where it was specifically a Southern American accent.
Oh, another thing is like I was kind of bummed that she didn't use any Spanish expressions, because I know Poirot has all these French ones, and I was like, right there.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, she could have been like, ay Dios mío, or
yeah,
like,
there was one line
loca.
where it was like, and then she just went on into Spanish.
Yeah,
like,
and I was like, oh, I know. I was like, oh yeah, you go, girl, because that was so awesome. Because again, Christie and pointing out like stereotypes and things, and this guy, freaking, what is his name, Mr. Carter? Oh, you had rather a fancy for Mr. Barton Russell yourself in New York. That's the gossip I heard. Argentine beauties are notoriously jealous. And she's like, excuse me, sir, I'm not even Argentine. I'm from Peru. And I'm like, yes, you go, girl.
That was so funny.
I was like, Peruvian representation. Oh, for the viewers, for the listeners who don't know, I am half Peruvian. So I was like, yes, you go. And then she lapsed into Spanish, and I was like, yes. So yeah, that was a lot of fun to read. I'm excited for watching. I wonder, they probably did make the TV episode based off of like this short story. So I want to. Yeah,
I'm sure they did.
I want to see that. I hope that's good. If not, then I can always, I don't know, make my own script for it. Give her some little Spanish stuff now that I actually know how to speak Spanish.
I don't know, you already mentioned this, but that her mentioning Sherlock Holmes. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was interesting. Like, Sherlock Holmes is a book in her book, like, as a character, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think she's very, self-aware of...
Yeah, it's not metafictional, but...
I know, I wrote meta, but I was like, not really, but it is.
Yeah. And it's funny, because I honestly prefer her use of the third-person narrator. It gives us a lot more freedom, and it also does with just, like, characters. For example, in the last short story we read...
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, in the last short story, when the maid was pulled in two different directions, she was hesitant to speak to, like, this foreign man. So, I like that the third-person narrator allows us to kind of get a little peek into everyone's mind at some point. And it doesn't feel, like, unnatural. You know, it doesn't feel strictly... confined to Poirot, because of course you can't let the reader know everything, or else they know the mystery before the great unveil, or unveiling. So always keeping the suspense in there. But yeah, at the beginning, we would have Hastings as the narrator, and that was basically the Watson. So it's funny how she kind of like not exactly criticizes, but she kind of pokes fun at Sherlock Holmes, but, like, at the beginning, she was very much imitating him, or perhaps emulating him and trying to, like, surpass Sir Arthur Conan Doyle as far as, like...
Yeah, and she's mentioned it in other books, too. Or she'll be like, she'll say something, or Poirot will be like, oh, I don't solve mysteries like Sherlock Holmes, I think.
Yes. Oh,
or something.
And if you're really interested in this topic... I definitely suggest reading Murder on the Links. They have their own Sherlock Holmes like type character, and it's so funny, and I recommend it. And they screwed it up in the Poirot TV show. He wasn't the same as Sherlock Holmes, and it was just more about like blunt competition. And I was like, no, it has to be like really more meaningful.
It also plays on this, I know, in the Big Four. I read that one. I actually vaguely, barely, can't remember that book for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but I remember there's some Sherlock Holmes-y, stuff.
Nice. I can't wait to read that one.
But that one relies a lot on, it's more of a series, series-long characters come up, and I read it kind of early, and so there was parts of it where I was like, what is happening?
I had the question in mind, who did it? Maybe I can try to figure it out myself. Of course I didn't.
Yeah, did you
No.
guess the murderer?
Yeah. As soon as Poirot asked Tony to take out the cyanide packet from Mr. Carter's jacket, I was like, oh my god, the coat room! Both ladies had gone into the coat room. Maybe they planted it in everybody's coats, and maybe it was one of them, and which one was it? And I was like, it's in the champagne. Maybe everyone's drugged. Ah. But so I was a little off there.
I definitely didn't guess it, but I did narrow it down. I was like, it's definitely either Carter or the guy it actually was. By like, it's not going to be Tony because he's his friend, and it's not going to be Pauline because Tony likes Pauline. And I don't think it's going to be, what was the lady?
Lola?
I was like, I don't think it's going to be her. That's a red herring. I don't know. Often in Agatha Christie's books, a person who has an alibi will be the murderer because they will be careful to make sure they do have one, you know?
Yeah.
Or something. And so that is a clue. I'm not sure I would say this one is easily solvable. I do think the main clue I think you're supposed to look at is with the yellow irises, a big like who would know. And you're supposed to figure out, okay, then it's probably Pauline because she would know because it's her sisters or something.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but I think it felt more easily figure-outable than other stories.
Yes, I agree. And it did feel like a faster read because it was kind of, the pace was really, I really liked the pace. And I like that it was set only in this one night, this one occasion. It wasn't necessarily, then he returned home, and then he went to the police department. It's like this one drama right here. It keeps your attention. You're engaged. You're there. And I like that she wrote lyrics to the music that's
that was my next point. I was like, her use of music, that was really interesting.
Did you, I don't think it's a real song. Did you look at
I don't think so either.
Okay. I love that in the last stanza, they're like, there's nothing like love for making you mad. Abusive, elusive, suicidal, homicidal. There's nothing like love. Do, 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 do. There's nothing like love.
So funny too.
I'm like, that could be a Beatles song. Who knows?
But it's just like the fact that it says like suicidal, homicidal.
I was like, well, lady, okay.
This is kind of funny.
I found that very enjoyable.
Me too, yeah. The word jackanapes. I did look it up. I think it's like a monkey or something.
Yeah, okay. First
Anyways, it was a mean word said to Poirot. But I was like, that is a insult I've never heard before.
Mm-hmm. That and spitfiring. What did she say? Spitfiring cat? Yes. I was like, new words. Maybe I should not keep them in my vocabulary.
Jackanapes.
Yeah.
I might be saying that wrong. Anyways, obviously the use of flowers is like a motif that kind of has come up a couple times. Mm-hmm. Which is very nice.
Maybe Agatha Christie got into a little, like, gardening spree or, I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode in which we discussed Yellow Iris.
Catch us on our next episode where we talk about the short story, The Dream.